Hello viewers, I'm going to go over my story of how I became a full-time YouTuber and now a full-time racing driver. As you can see, I actually made a very similar video 4.5 years ago. I think it's fair to say I looked a little bit different back then. This video was made on the 30th of December 2019, and because so much has happened in the intervening time, and because I've been getting a lot of questions about it, I feel like now is the right time to make an updated version of this video. I'm going to put timestamps in the description, so if you want to skip to a certain subject, but I'm going to break this up into 3 different things. So firstly, it'll be a life overview, just a general synopsis of my life. A YouTube overview, so what I did with the channel and why I started and that kind of thing. And then a racing overview, what I've done in terms of my racing, when I started, and how I got into the GT4 season that I'm doing this year. As a very quick overview, perhaps for those who aren't really aware of who I am, my name is Steve Alvarez Brown. I am a full-time YouTuber focusing on racing games, mainly Gran Turismo, but also some other sims, and also kart racing and real-world car racing. So it's been a full-time job for 6 years. I went full-time in June 2018. The channel started in May 2011, so it's been quite a long time. So firstly, a life overview. What have I done in my life? So I was born in 1990. That makes me 33 years old right now. In the UK, the southeast of the UK. My mum is Filipino, my dad is English. I grew up always liking racing and motorsport, especially Formula 1. My first gaming console was a PlayStation 1 back in 1996. Played V-Rally, Ridge Racer Revolution, F1 97, Gran Turismo 1, those kinds of games. For my 11th birthday, my dad bought me a go-kart, so this was back in 2001. I have raced in karts every year since 2001. In 2010, I went to university to study motorsport technology. During my time there, I became back-to-back drivers champion in the British University Karting Championship. I won the team's championship as well, I think one of the years, 2013. But I actually left the course in my second year. I became quite disinterested with the subject matter of technology behind motorsport, realizing instead that I actually really enjoyed racing and driving, but not so much the actual physics and science behind the cars. In terms of employment, just before I went to uni in 2010, in 2009, I started a job in a warehouse, a very lowly skilled, lowly paid kind of job. But then after I quit uni, I went back to that job and stayed there for many years. And that's kind of intertwined with my YouTube story, which is I started the channel in 2011. I don't really take it seriously for the first couple of years, but from about 2015 onwards, I decided to take it a bit more seriously and just to get a bit more extra income every month because my earnings weren't that good in my normal warehouse job. In December 2019, I had a really good month on YouTube, which kind of made me realize I could possibly do it full time. In June 2018, so about 6 months later, I took the plunge and did YouTube full time. The decision to leave my job was mainly a financial one. I was earning near enough the same on YouTube as I was in my job, a little bit less, but I thought if I have all the time every day to put into YouTube, then I should be able to earn a lot more. So that was the main reason I decided to leave my warehouse job and take the plunge with YouTube. So that's a very quick overview of my life and the story of it. Obviously, if you have any more questions, please do ask in the comments and I'll try to answer. But now for the YouTube overview. So an overview of what this channel is, why it started and how it's grown. So if we go to my YouTube channel, you can see here, if you go to the oldest videos, it is 12 years ago this first video was made. And this was uploaded on the 22nd of May 2011. Now the main reason why I even started a YouTube channel was because I was racing online and having some really good moments, some interesting races, some close battles, and I thought, you know what, it's a shame that no one's really seeing this. So I just started uploading videos, not really with any plan or structure. There was absolutely zero plan at that point back in 2011 for me to turn this into a full-time job, to become a racing driver from the back of it. That was never in the plan. That was never something I was aspiring to do. It was really just, let's just have some fun with it. I've always enjoyed sort of curating a story or editing and just making a narrative. If you go back to 2011, there really wasn't much in terms of racing games on YouTube. There was really nothing. And so I think because of that, my channel kind of stood out on YouTube. There weren't too many people posting this type of content. So the growth was quite quick, quite early. Nothing like it is now, but I got quite a few views straight away. I mean, if you look at some of these early videos, these are my very first videos. I mean, the first video's got 18K, but I think a lot of people have just gone back to watch that. But even this video here is a world record on Dirt 3 on one of the time trials, and that's got over 100,000 views. You see these videos here, 27,000 views, 12,000, 10,000, 14,000. This was actually quite a lot of views back in those days, back in 2011. That was actually pretty decent. Even now, this would be not too bad. If you were getting these numbers on a new channel, you'd be doing quite well, I think. So these numbers were not too bad. But really, I wasn't in it for the numbers. I was in it just to enjoy it, to help people out. I wanted to broadcast some nice moments, as I said. You see a lot of my early videos are actually guides, a lot of guides on how to sort of do certain challenges on Dirt 3. And I would say this educational aspect has always been a core component of this channel and one of the reasons why I started it and continue it. As we roll through this first couple of years on my channel, 2011 to about 2014, this was not done seriously at all. It was like just for fun, not really looking at the numbers too much. Let's just post and upload and hope that people find it useful. As we scroll down a bit further, this is 11 years ago, so this is about 2013 now. And you see that we have the introduction of some karting content. No commentary by this point. All of the videos to this point have not had commentary, just pure gameplay or pure video. But then we get to this one here. Super GT returns with commentary. You should listen to this, guys. This is Super GT and I am finally back. Now obviously I've got myself a microphone like I promised I would. I bought myself the blue snowball ice, so hopefully this should turn out quite well. My video should be a bit better from now on, because obviously it's a bit easier to explain things by speaking rather than showing. So yeah, that was my first ever video with commentary. You can tell that my delivery and voice was a little bit different, the way that I speak. That is something that I've always worked on. You should watch this start, actually. This is quite funny, guys, because this is Forza Motorsport 4. Look at this. Kind of everyone just wants to crash, spin out. And I suppose this kind of marks the beginning of the real style of my channel, which is sort of commentating in a certain way over a lot of interesting or funny racing content. If you look back at my videos here, there was no real genuine direction or style or formula that I had struck on at this point. I think these days I do have a formula. The way that I make the videos is quite similar each time. But back then I didn't really have a clue or an idea of how to go. So yeah, I totally wasn't sure what to post at this point. I just kind of posted a bit of everything, nothing really in particular. You see that the thumbnails keep changing. This was something that definitely doesn't really work in the modern day, just changing the thumbnail, not really sure what to do, trying to sort of look at what other people are doing and go, oh, they're doing that, I'll try and copy that, I guess, or maybe copy this. Thumbnail keeps changing all over the place, so no real core identity of the channel at this point. It's a bit all over the place, but we're just trying to find out what we really enjoy and what we like to post. But then we get to this video here, Forza 5, I am back. Prior to this video, I had a massive break. This video was released on the 8th of November 2014. And this is, I think, the turning point of where I decided to take this channel a bit more seriously. And the reason for that, if we go back to my sort of life overview, at this point in my life, I'm in a warehouse job working minimum wage in a very menial job which requires zero skill or use of your brain. As much as anything, it was almost like I needed something in my life that I could even just talk about and be proud of. You know, there's family events where you go and see your parents or your grandparents or your aunts and uncles, and they ask you, you know, what have you got going on? You know, what have you been up to? And the answer was literally nothing. I've got nothing to say. I haven't got anything going on in my life. It's so boring. What I needed was something I could be proud of, put my energy into, and then just be able to talk about. Because at that point I was very quiet, very shy, didn't really acknowledge anyone, didn't really talk, didn't really have any substance behind me, you know, to talk about to other people. So I felt like YouTube was my way of creating something for myself. And with YouTube, I liked the idea that I could do it on my own terms. I could do racing games, which I've always enjoyed. And I've always had a passion, I think, for editing stories in a certain way or creating a narrative, being informative or educational. And so YouTube was the perfect place for all those things to come together. So over time, 2014, now into 2015, we're still creating lots of different videos. Still not quite sure of the style, but just putting a lot of content out there. I was a lot more regular, a lot more consistent. And I must say it wasn't easy. Back then, I was working a full-time job in the warehouse, 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. And then, you know, coming home and then not having many hours left to try to dedicate to YouTube. So it was a tough time. Those couple of years there, 2015, 16, 17, I think I sacrificed a lot during those years to make this turn into a full-time reality. Another key element of the channel was live streams. If we go to the oldest one here, I did my first ever live stream partway through 2017, in fact 5th of March 2017, so that is more than 7 years ago. I mean, it's quite funny to listen to this back now. I'm just sat there, I'm not really sure exactly what the settings are, what I'm doing, but I just thought, you know what? Here I am. Yeah, So you can see I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of just thought, you know what, let's give this a go. Let's start live streaming. But being able to interact live with the audience, I think, was a really good aspect to this channel. And I think certain events or certain content is best done on live stream. So some of these extreme endurance events I've done, sort of 200 laps of the Nurburgring, that kind of thing, I think that actually works really well as a live stream. So adding the live streams alongside the videos, it just strengthened the channel. It made the channel a better place to watch content. So as I said, from 2014, 15 onwards, I began to take this a lot more seriously. If we take a look at this video here, new racing setup. This is the new setup I bought, with including a PC. It was the first time I ever bought a PC. And so I invested about £1,000 into that PC, which was a lot of money for me to spend at that time on a minimum wage job. It took me like well over 6 months to save up for that. And that was halfway through 2015. And that kind of just shows you that I was willing to take this a lot more seriously and invest money into it to try to get more back out of it. This is what I looked like back in 2015. A lot of different, longer hair. But the main thing I wanted to show you is this. This is my old laptop, and I had to run my entire YouTube channel from this thing. It barely worked. Look at that, 8,000 subs back then. This was partway through 2015, 3.5 million total views. So a very different time for sure. But yeah, I tried to run YouTube off of this laptop. It was just impossible. So buying that PC was pretty much a must at that point. At the end of 2015, Forza 6 came out. And as you can see, the thumbnails begin to settle down into a more consistent style with the yellow, slightly orange there, text, which I've actually kept to this very day. So I think this is the real formation of the current style of the channel. You see there, pile-ups confirmed, multiplayer is chaos, titles and styles of titles that kind of have kept with me until this current day actually. At the end of 2015, hitting 10,000 subs. And this video here, guys, if you've not seen this before, you have to watch it. You simply have to watch this. I mean, I'm not going to spoil what happens. You can watch it, right? But this is sort of the advent of a lot of the humor we have on this channel. And for those who perhaps aren't familiar with my channel and what I do here, yes, a lot of it is informative and educational, but at the same time, I do like to sprinkle in humor. And I think that is a core component of this channel. It's something that I've always tried to include. And I must say it was an aim, not necessarily from right at the start, but certainly from like 2014, 15 onwards, to make racing, sim racing, racing games seem more approachable and actually quite fun. Because I think for the most part, racing games and motorsport in general can be incredibly dull, incredibly boring. And so I've been conscious of this style where you try to make it come across in a more approachable and fun way, because it is fun if you think about it in the right way. Just flicking through even here now, still on Forza 6, but you see the thumbnail style is incredibly similar to what we have today. So it hasn't actually changed all that much in the last, 7 years. We actually have very similar thumbnails to these right now. At the end of 2016, as you can see here, I got invited to present this video. So the guy with me there is Lage, the world's best Forza Motorsport player, and he won this Ford Focus RS. So this was the first time I got invited off of the back of the channel to present something or go to an event, and that was therefore, a nice bit of recognition to know that people are watching the channel and took note of it and invited me to do things. That continued into this video where I am in New York, and this is my first ever sort of actual vlog, and it was quite exciting but also quite daunting at the same time for me to make this very video. Holding a camera and talking to it felt incredibly alien. It does even a little bit today, but I'm quite a lot better than I was back then. But once again, this was actual Turn 10 and Forza inviting me to this esports event, so that was really cool. And again, more recognition. By this point, I know that the channel's going in the right direction. And on that trip, I met the Slap Train. So he has a very big channel, over 2 million subscribers. He does racing games. He was one of the first racing game YouTubers to hit 100k, but this was back in like 2013 or something like that. And on that trip, he said to me, if you continue in this direction, you will be able to go full time. He had gone full time a few years before that. And to hear that from him kind of felt like, wow, actually, okay, maybe it is possible. As I said, I never intended this to become a full-time job back in the beginning, but from 2015, 16, 17, even then I only really did it just to get a bit of extra income, a couple of £100 or £100 a month, or not even that sometimes. Sometimes it was like 60 quid in a month. But when he said that I could possibly go full time, that was the first time when I thought, Okay, well, let's keep going then. Maybe this is possible. And then comes what could be the biggest decision I've ever made on this channel in terms of the growth and the trajectory of the channel. And that is over on the right hand side of the screen. You can see it here, Gran Turismo Sport Multiplayer Mayhem. And this is essentially my decision to buy a PlayStation 4 and Gran Turismo Sport. I loved Gran Turismo as a kid, but I hadn't played 5 or 6, so Gran Turismo was a game I hadn't played in like 10, 15 years. And so this felt kind of alien to me, but Gran Turismo Sport is solely responsible for a massive amount of growth on this channel. In fact, I went from 60k to about 660k in the lifespan of this game, GT Sport. So we continue posting videos, live streams, going to some events. The channel was in a good place, but it wasn't until the end of 2017, December 2017, I remember it. Now in December, ad revenue is normally really good. And in that particular month, I had much better earnings from YouTube than I did from my normal job. And so after that, I really did think that it could turn into a full-time job. And so in January, I turned up to my job and I said, can I change my hours? I went from 45 hours to like 28. So I saved quite a lot of hours. And with that extra time, I put that time into creating even more content. And then, as I said earlier, in June 2018, I went full-time. I took the plunge. Now, it was actually quite a brave decision because in the few months just before I left, I was actually earning less on YouTube than my normal job. And so it wasn't a guarantee that I'd be able to pay my rent and, all these things and all my bills. And even in the few months after that as well, July, August, September 2018, I was still earning a little bit less than what I was at my job. So it wasn't the sort of easiest transition into full-time YouTube. But then came along one of the saving graces of my channel. And so if you go to videos and they're most popular, it's this video here, Forza 7 Shameful Ramming Attempts. As you can see, it's my second most viewed video of all time, 4.8 million views. And so that video came along and it just took off. And the reason why I think this video did so well is because of the humor of this exact moment, going past these two back markers, these shameful rammers, and just, avoiding their ramming, basically.
Because I know what's going to come. I know what's happening. So I know the deal here. Off you go, mate, and you too. So we scored a double whammy there, and we can reuse the good old Fast and Furious meme here. Perfect use for it.
So I was a little bit worried after going full time in the first couple of months, but that video came along and it really did very well. And actually the trajectory of the channel kind of really changed after that. That video released in September 2018, and actually in the same month, I hit 100,000 subscribers. The stats aren't there on Social Blade now, but I think that month I gained 35,000 subscribers in a month. And that's actually the second highest month I've ever had, even until now. Now, another important change on this channel was in January 2019. As you can see right here, my FANATEC rig, I am now playing on a wheel on most of my games that I'm playing. But before January 2019, I was on a controller the entire time. And you see this video here, I made this in January 2019, got this rig, and this kind of marks a significant change, I would say, in just taking the racing a little bit more seriously. Yes, we can still joke about with the commentary, but I think really trying to push to become a better driver on a wheel, taking it more seriously. On Gran Turismo, racing on a wheel is typically a lot better. You'll be a lot quicker on a wheel. So this was another step, I think, in the right direction to where we are today of being what I would say a good sim racer and now a contracted racing driver with Bilstein in a GT4 car. Now on the subject of real life racing, now you see earlier on my channel I have posted a lot of karting as I was doing a lot of hire karting at the time. But this was the first video where I actually commentated over my karting. I felt like, well, you know what, I don't really want to do this, but you see lots of people commented, look, we actually would like your commentary over the top of your real life racing as well. I didn't think this would work, if I'm honest, but I tried it. This video was very successful. I think it has over 400,000 views. And yeah, this kind of marked the beginning of having sim content or racing game content and real life content at the same time on the same channel. This start was absolutely crazy, by the way. Take a look at this.
4 people already passed. Now coming up to Christmas corner, everyone queuing up on the inside. Boom, around the outside. RIP in so many pieces to all of those guys.
And then not long after that, we have this other karting video. This was on my trip to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. It was a Club 100 karting event. And this is, to date, my most viewed video. It has 5.5 million views at the time of recording this. I do just have to say sorry to this guy's neck for smashing into the back of him here at the start of this race. You can watch it again in glorious full speed. Boom, straight into the back of him. I don't know what it was about this video, but I went from pretty much the back of the grid, and I do actually end up in the lead after about half the race. In terms of the timing, the length of the video, and just the retention of, you know, people watching the video from start to finish, it just did so well, and people just really enjoyed this. So I was very happy with my karting content, that it's worked and people enjoyed it. So that pretty much takes us up to the end of 2019, and that's where my previous version of this video was made, and therefore everything that's happened after that I did not cover. So allow me to cover it now. So just for context, at the start of 2020 or the end of 2019, I was on just over 300,000 subscribers. The channel had just kept growing, and you know, we keep posting regularly, and the growth was good, the viewership was good. I think the audience was good. We had a nice crowd of people who understood the joke and really were passionate about racing, and that's what I really liked. I really enjoyed that. And into 2020 we continued, but of course we had the global pandemic, and actually that was good and bad for me. So obviously lots of people were watching YouTube because everyone's at home, everyone's locked down or whatever, and so views were pretty good during that year. However, I got extremely burnt out because I was asked left, right and centre, can you join this event here, join this race here? And things were fine for me if I focused on the games I like the most, like Gran Turismo or Forza, and I feel like I can jump onto those games and be at a good standard straight away. However, if someone asked me, hey, can you do this R-Factor event up against professional sim racers and professional race drivers, it became very difficult to do that and to do it to a good standard that viewers would expect. I would jump into some events. Some people would invite me to an event during COVID because that's all that people could do. And these professional sim racers are on lap 800 of practice. And that's fine. They want to be good at the game. But for me, that's just something that I just really did not want to be doing, did not want to be sitting there to do that much practice. It became too boring, it became so dull, and I got massively burnt out in 2020, and I actually didn't upload a video for about 3 months during the summer of 2020. It was a strange year. I mean, in terms of my life, I was living on my own for the first time in my life. Something big that did happen during 2020 for me though is Quadrant. Now this is a group formed by Lando Norris, the Formula 1 driver, and I was asked to be part of it during 2020. The group launched in November 2020. However, it was during the summer of that year that I was asked to be part of it, really because of creating, I think, racing game content and real life karting content at the same time on the same channel. They quite liked that, and therefore I was asked to be part of it. Now normally I'd say no to a lot of things, but this one I think was a bit different. Being able to have close access and be able to make videos with Lando Norris, a Formula 1 driver, world famous, I think that was a very good opportunity, and I was very quick to say yes. So as you can probably tell by this point, we're just really trying to strengthen the channel in every direction that you can, you know, starting live streams, starting videos, and going to events, and now being part of Quadrant. We're just bolstering the channel in all directions. So that was the real positive of 2020, I would say. Otherwise, that year was a bit of a dead year for me on YouTube. Yes, I gained a lot of subs still, but I didn't really post much content. It was the first year where I took a bit of a step back. However, at the beginning of 2021, I did the craziest thing I think I've ever done, and that was this challenge here. I did 200 laps of the Nurburgring Nordschleife on GT7 in one sitting. It took me 27 hours and 40 minutes to complete, raising £25,000 for the Philippine School Project charity. And it was something that people could really get behind and support, and I think this was a very positive thing. As horrible as it was for me at the time, it was a whole world of pain, I can assure you. Now, unlike 2020, I think 2021 was actually an incredible year for this channel, where we started to go in the right direction in terms of my real life racing. So up until this point, yes, I've been doing the karting with the Club 100, but I hadn't really done any sort of professional racing or like really top level real life racing. But that kind of changed with this video. I got the incredible opportunity to race Lando Norris in a 1v1 race at Wilton Mill in karts. And this is content that you just won't really see on YouTube at all. There is a video of someone racing Lewis Hamilton, but they didn't really have a direct battle, and it wasn't really a 1v1. So this was an incredible opportunity to be able to do this kind of thing. And this is one of the core components and core reasons of joining Quadrant, for opportunities like this. And off of the back of that, I entered a season of the Ultimate Karting Championship in the UK, fully sponsored by Quadrant. So I entered a full championship, the Ultimate Karting Championship, 6 rounds throughout the entire year. And this was a really fun season. I really enjoyed it, maybe apart from that bit. But this is the kind of content I wanted to evolve into, just really doing a lot more racing. I mean, I will touch upon my racing career in a moment, but to move up to another level, this was a full-on British championship, so quite a high level, something that I hadn't really done before. Later on in the year, I had some other opportunities via Quadrant and Veloce of driving an Extreme E car and driving the Abu Dhabi race circuit. So it's little things like that where you get opportunities here and there to drive in certain cars around certain places. Let's move to 2022. In March 2022, Gran Turismo 7 came out, and that was the best month I've ever had on this channel. 45,000 subscribers in 1 month, almost 13 million views. So GT7 was an amazing thing for this channel, you know, a big Gran Turismo game coming out. And so, you know, we capitalize on the momentum of that, of course. In terms of the real life racing, I'm not sure if you remember, there was a moment when I went to the Nurburgring at the end of 21, the CEO of FANATEC, or he said that he wanted to put me in a race car.
He's a good talent. I want to make him a race driver.
We all heard that, right? We heard that.
But
Anyway, I think it's fair to say there were lots of promises made, but which didn't really transpire, unfortunately, in 2022. But during that year, I entered into some MX-5 races out of my own pocket. Basically, I paid for it myself, with the intention of getting an international race license, with the hope that I would actually get that drive with FANATEC in whatever car they were looking to enter. That didn't happen. I didn't end up racing at the Nürburgring in 2022, but I did some MX-5 racing. I got invited to do a Fun Cup race, and towards the end of the year, I entered into a Radical race as well. The Radical race and the Fun Cup race were free for me, as long as I made videos on them. And I think that gives an indication of how important it is to have a switched on, engaged audience who enjoy racing, and you can use that as leverage to get some incredible opportunities like racing a Radical for a weekend. And, you know, I'm not really doing that just purely for my own enjoyment. I'm doing it to create the content on it as well, hoping that it can grow and we get more opportunities and more opportunities. Because in many ways, your YouTube channel is like a CV. These are all the things I've done. Look at all the videos, all the things I've achieved, and all the different cars I've driven. Give me a chance in your car, please, and I'll make a video on it. Oh, that's the overarching idea, I think, when it comes to real life racing content. So that's 2022, more Gran Turismo videos. 2023, this is where things really change because in 2023 we have the actual chance to race at the Nürburgring. It fell through with FANATEC, unfortunately. But Bilstein came along and rescued the situation. We formed a content creator team. Well, Misha and Bilstein did, and then they invited Jimmy to be part of the team, and then they invited me to be part of the team. And so the three of us raced last year in a BMW 330i as part of the NLS, the Nürburgring Langstrecken series, the endurance championship at the Nürburgring. And then this year that spiraled into now racing a GT4 car around in the same series. And in terms of racing game content in the last few years, it's been primarily Gran Turismo 7. That's been the main game. We've touched upon some iRacing and some Forza as well. But GT7 has been the very dominant game on this channel, and it's done very well. And that is a summary of my YouTube channel from May 2011 until today. But now it's time to go over my racing overview for anyone who wants context of what I've done in my racing career. So the very first thing I did was get a go-kart when I was aged 11 on my 11th birthday. It's a Minimax. I raced at Butmore Park and Bayford Meadows, my local circuits. And so I did 4 or 5 years of that type of racing called owner-driver, where you own the kart. Racing against the likes of Jolyon Palmer. These are drivers who have gone quite far in the racing ladder. I mean, Jolyon Palmer made it to Formula 1. But we ran out of money after a couple of years of that, and we weren't able to sustain it. It is quite expensive karting. And so I moved into hire karting. So you're not owning the kart, you just turn up to the track and drive the karts that the track owns. And I think I was actually quite successful in hire karts. A lot of it was Buckmore Park's hire karts. I won a couple of championships and then moved into Club 100, which is, I would say, the highest level of arrive and drive karting in the UK. So I started that in about 2009, and so I've raced those until about 2019. So about 10 years of racing in those karts. I won the Elite Sprint Championship in 2016, which was probably my best achievement in Club 100. As I mentioned earlier, I did also enter the University Karting Championship, which is in Club 100 karts, and I won the Drivers' Championship in 2012 and 13, and the teams in 2013. So I stopped Club 100 in 2019. In 2020, I didn't really do too much, but I did a little bit of karting here and there. And in 2021, as we mentioned, I did the race against Lando Norris and the season in UKC, driving X30 karts and Rotax. 2022, we had the plans to race at the Nurburgring with FANATEC. Didn't quite happen. But instead, I raced in Mazda MX-5s, in Fun Cup and in Radical. In 2023, I raced some Mazda MX-5s again. And then it was our first year with the Bilstein BMW 330i at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And then this year, we're racing GT4 at the Nürburgring once again. So that's an overview of my racing career to date. There's quite a lot of experience. I've raced every year since 2001, and therefore countless races under my belt. I've raced so many different tracks, lots of different kart tracks especially, not as many car races, but experience is obviously a massive factor in racing, and just being able to do so many races really does help you. The question you might have is, how do you get into the GT4 racing that you're doing this year, or even the 330i that I did last year? I think the main thing is just simply having the channel that I have and the influence and the following. From a business point of view, Bilstein see the channel and they know that we can get X amount of views per video and attention on their brand. And I felt like this is a new way of getting certain things in the motorsport world, being able to leverage your following. And just so you're aware, that's not really how I sort of see it. Personally, it's not like I'm just here just to grow a following just so that I can go racing. Obviously, I want to go racing, but I want to do it in a way that I can take my viewers along for the ride with me, so you can get like really good access to see what it's really like to race in these cars on these certain tracks. In terms of the future, it's really hard to say exactly where this channel or my racing career is going to go. I think GT3 has to be the goal, but fully aware that I'm on a bit of a wave at the moment. There's no guarantee that this continues forever. You know, this year at the Nürburgring could be the last year that I race. I don't know. I hope it isn't. I hope it continues and we keep on a positive trajectory. But I'm aware that I have to work hard and make things happen. It doesn't just happen. But in terms of the sort of sim or racing game side of the channel, I think there's another level to reach with YouTube. I really do. Something I did touch upon earlier in this video, which is bringing racing games and motorsport to the mainstream and just making it more approachable and more fun, because it can be very boring if it's portrayed in the wrong way. And it's something that I'm very conscious of on this channel, that I want to take racing games and motorsport and karting and real life racing and just really make them seem like something that's really mainstream and really cool and approachable, that someone who doesn't watch motorsport or doesn't really care about racing, they'd watch it and think, actually, I quite like that. I'm going to do more of this, I'm going to watch more of this, or I'm going to buy my own sim rig, or I'm going to start karting. So there's certainly a case that with this YouTube channel, I could think of it in a very one-dimensional way of, let's just churn out videos in a robotic manner and just earn some money from it. But I really think it's a bigger thing than that. I really do. I think it's almost like a responsibility to make motorsport and racing more approachable and do it in a proper way. In terms of the numbers, you know, we're going to hit 1 million subscribers at some point soon, I think. Yes, that'll be really nice and it'll be a nice memento of this channel, but you know, it's just a number. The number will pass and then we'll continue and just keep creating the content, keep growing as a content creator, keep growing as a racing driver as well. So just some quick closing remarks before the video ends. This journey, if that's not too corny to say, has been absolutely ridiculous. The amount of things I've been able to do, I am fully aware that a lot of this is, you know, there is some luck involved, but there is a lot of hard work. But I just feel very blessed to be able to do it. You know, it is an awesome job. It's not all perfect as it might seem. You know, there's a lot of editing and boring emails and all that kind of thing, but I wouldn't change it. So obviously a massive thank you to everyone who has supported me on this channel and continues to support me, or even if you used to support me and don't really watch anymore, you're still part of the journey. You're still part of the support that has happened and the reason why the channel has grown to where it is. Again, if you have any questions that weren't really answered in this video, then do ask in the comments. But in the meantime, take care. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.